The Dockers, how about their big issue has been the Michael Johnson saga?
Yep.
I reckon they've handled that pretty well.
I think they have, and again, they were able to do it in-house. They provided a suspension
They
for
had a nice
him.
blueprint with the Matthew Stokes situation, didn't they?
They did, yeah, and counselling. Unfortunately, Michael Johnson was seen in a nightclub a few days after all of that. But look, hopefully he sees this team's on track to play in a grand final and realises that he could well be part of it.
Matthew Pavlich is our special guest very shortly. How good are they, Wolsey? I think that everything that could have gone right is going right for the moment, all due to really well structured up. I think they've changed a lot of things in their football club. The younger players, to me, are probably playing better than you would expect at this stage of their career. And I sort of liken them a bit to Hawthorn a couple of years ago, where they're probably about, at this stage, 18 months to 2 years ahead of schedule. Can it continue on? I'm still not sure about young players in big finals without that experience. But as Hawthorn proved, we all thought Hawthorn were going to be so much better in 2 years' time. Sometimes your opportunity comes early, and you just have to take it when it's there.
And if you've got a healthy list.
And they have got a healthy list, and they've got talent, and they're all pretty confident the way it's going.
Let's have a look at the Dockers draw, Rob, over the next 5 weeks, and gee, they're all really, really winnable games.
Well, they've got Adelaide, who's obviously struggling. Has St Kilda
the biggie.
Over there. That'll be a really good test. I think that'll be a great test, Luke, to see how good they are, because the Saints, we know they're a very good side. Carlton's on the up. That'll be a test for them. Port Adelaide, well, they're probably the most disappointing team in the competition. 3 losses in a row. Don't get me started on them. And Richmond, well, look, you'd expect them to beat the Tigers.
Well, our special guest tonight on 1 Week at a Time is Matthew Pavlich from the Fremantle Dockers, and he joins us now. Welcome, Matthew. You must be, I know it's only round 10, but you must be starting to get a little bit excited, surely, about what's ahead of you in season 2010.
I'm certainly satisfied to this point in the season, Steve, with the way the guys have applied themselves and the attitude and effort that they've shown week in, week out. But as you said, there's a long way to go, and we're certainly not counting our chickens just yet.
Pav, well done on your year so far. It's a great story, your own form. You've achieved almost everything in the game, but I think you're probably playing as good as you've ever done. We were just talking before our opening segment about the 5 big clubs, including yours, and all the different issues that you face. Is it a different situation now with the scrutiny you're under as an AFL player, and is it a hard thing to handle?
Yeah, it's funny. I was spending some time in the physio room, as you do on the day after the game, with Paul Hazelby, who I obviously joined the competition with about 10 years ago now, and we were talking about the scrutiny that the players are faced with and how often or how difficult it would be now to come into the AFL. Now, I'm not trying to say it's a bad industry to come into, because it's been an absolute dream of mine to be involved with it, and something that I'm very privileged to be involved with. But it's a challenge. There's a lot of people out there, whether it's the media or the public, who are looking for guys to slip up and do the wrong thing. And as always, Luke, you know this as much as anyone, we're a cross-section of the community, aged between 17 and 35, and there's 700 odd players. So sometimes there are going to be mistakes, but more often than not, the goodwill that the playing group as a whole has been able to build over so many years is still pretty strong.
Matthew, the Fremantle Dockers won 6 games in 2008. You won 6 games in 2009. You've already won 8 and are looking really good. What do you put it down to?
Look, quite a few things. I don't think it's one or the other. I think the fact that the group in general has been together for a little bit of time now, the first and second year players that are playing well, Stephen Hill, Nick Subin, Chris Mayne, Hayden Ballantyne, these types of guys have been around for some time. So they've been able to mature in their own bodies. Gary Gibbertson, you see there on TV, he's been playing some great footy. Reece Palmer's back playing after his knee injury. So what we're seeing is guys being able to mature in their own bodies, but absolutely understand what it takes to play hard AFL football week in, week out.
Pav, start of the year, I think a lot of people probably had Mark Harvey as a coach that might have been under pressure. I don't think any of us were expecting to be sitting here second, outright second on the ladder. What makes him a good coach? What's his main strength?
Look, he backs in the players. There's no question of that, and he takes a risk by playing his younger guys and backing them in to the absolute hilt. You've seen last year we had 11 guys debut. This year I think already we've had 6. So he backs in young talent. He's obviously come from Essendon, where there's a lot of Kevin Sheedy about him. There's a level of faith that he shows in the players and their ability and their strengths to play week in, week out, which has been fantastic. And the thing is, that he's really hard on the players, he's really demanding, and they understand exactly where he sits with them, which I think they appreciate wholeheartedly.
Fremantle has always been the poor relation to the West Coast Eagles since you've come into the competition, whether you like it or not, Matthew. Has that, do you think that sort of mindset has hit the players over the years? It's been hard to shake off. Obviously, you've shaken it off now, and it must be a good feeling having bragging rights over the Eagles. But do you feel you've always been the poor relation over there?
Look, I can only comment on the time that I've been in the club, and this is my 11th year. So I guess initially, you know, by the time I arrived at the club, at the end of 99, started 2000, they'd had already won a derby, and by that stage they'd started to get a little bit of ascendancy. But certainly off the field, there's been a huge push in terms of membership and corporate support, and the club right now has a huge amount of members and corporate support. It's about on-field success now, and certainly from my perspective as well, sustained success is the absolute key, and we're starting to see that.
Matthew, do you think you can win the premiership this year?
Put it this way, there wouldn't have been many people out there asking me that question at the start of the year. There's a huge amount to go of the season. We're really focused on this week, and you have to narrow your focus week to week. And there's no point in actually worrying about what external thoughts are or external comment is. We worry absolutely how we analyse the game and how we review the game and how we prepare for the upcoming week. And for this week, it's against Adelaide.
Very nice job of dodging that one.
You must be getting excited. You must be getting excited.
Well, we're 8-2, but we are doing a lot of things well. There's no question of that. But at the same time, there are things, even on the weekend, you know, we had a convincing win over the Kangaroos. But as always, and the three of you understand this as much as anyone out there, that within a win, even if it's 60 points, you realise that there's a lot of things you can be doing better, and we found that yesterday. We reviewed the game today, and yes, we were satisfied, pleased to come away with a victory, but there's a long way to go, boys.
Have your role, have you got the James Hird licence? If you need in the midfield, you put yourself in there, or behind the footy, can you do what you like?
Look, yeah, there's certain amount of flexibility that I have in my game. I guess I've played all over the ground now in my career. I've sort of started off as a bit of a defender, moved forward, and have played on ball as well. So for me, it's about reading the state of the play and where best it's going to suit the team that I position myself. Now, on the weekend, we had Michael Barlow out with a hamstring injury, and Paul Hasleby was a bit sore and was playing a bit more forward. So it was important for me to play a little bit of a role in the midfield, to give Aaron and David Mundy and those types of guys in the middle a bit more relief. And our forward structure still held really strong, which was important.
Rob, do we take Matthew Pavlich's football career for granted over here? We're about to have a look at his record, and it's unbelievably outstanding.
Well, it is. Best and fairest, All-Australian. This is at Fremantle. Most All-Australian, 6 times, most goals, third most games, and he'll soon be the leading games there. And you can just see there, number 111. There's one thing missing, and that is success in September. And, you know, that's through no fault of Matthews, but he'll certainly get the opportunity this year. And I think that the footy world, the Australian football public, if they see Matthew Pavlich playing great football in September, well, he'll be elevated to where I think most footy people who watch footy week in, week out think that he should be.